Great. Hello, my name is Ebony McDonald. I am the African and African American Studies Diversity Librarian here at LSU Libraries. And today I am speaking with Zach Tompkins, who is the University Archivist in LSU Libraries Special Collections. And he has joined the libraries recently as of this year, correct?
Yeah, that's right. My 1 year anniversary will be next week.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So 1 year in. So today we're having this conversation in honor of American Archives Month, which is celebrated every October by professional organizations and repositories around the nation to highlight the importance of records of enduring value. The libraries thought it would be worthwhile to get to know Zach and discuss how this work is done at LSU Library Special Collections. So let's just jump right in. Tell me about your position here.
Well, thanks, Ebony. It's nice to see you. I'm the University Archivist for LSU. While we have archivists in the Special Collections Library who preserve rare books and unpublished materials related to the history of the lower Mississippi Valley, it is my job to ensure that the broad history of LSU as an institution is preserved and made available to researchers and to the LSU community.
Okay. That sounds like a very important position, very important role.
It's humbling.
So how did you come to be our university archivist? What was your career path? If someone's thinking, oh, wow, that sounds neat. I'd love to try to do that myself. How did you arrive here at LSU Libraries?
Well, I have a degree in library and information science with a focus on archival management, and that was sort of the direct path into this profession. I do have a background in governmental and institutional records. A lot of what the university archivist does is to determine the difference between the routine business records of the university with the historically significant records of the university through a process we call archival appraisal.
Okay. And could you describe that process a little bit for people who might not know what archival appraisal is? Well, let's back up. What are archives anyway? And then how do you all get the materials that you actually archive? So I guess we could talk about the process within that.
That's a great question, Ebony. The university archives are housed at Hill Memorial Library here on the far western side of the old quad. This is what our building looks like from the outside. Hill Memorial is the library for the LSU Special Collections, rare books, manuscripts, and other unpublished materials. Archival materials can be anything from rare books like Audubon's Birds of America to letters between Huey Long and the president of LSU during the time, to photographs documenting the 1927 flood, to video highlights of the Tiger Marching Band, to historically significant digital-only material. We collect a variety of material formats, which can present some interesting challenges when trying to preserve them. We, as archivists, try to recognize that people and groups may choose to document themselves in different ways. And so we always want to remain respectful of the ways that people and groups document themselves. Mm-hmm. We want to preserve their voices in a way that honors the ways and formats in which they were created. So, however it's created, we'll try to preserve it.
Okay. And how do you go about, just going back to that appraisal process, how do you go about obtaining these materials that you archive?
Sure. Well, both libraries and archives are in the business of information. Typically, libraries collect and provide access to published materials in order to keep people informed, promote scholarship, provide entertainment even. Archives collect and provide access to mostly unpublished materials in order to ensure accountability, to preserve institutional memory, and to preserve cultural heritage. So those are sort of the guiding factors for how we select materials.
Okay. So how is your day different from, say, perhaps the traditional librarian?
Sure. While I do provide access to information in a similar way to research and reference librarians, my role as the university archivist is more of a curator of LSU's institutional history. Much of what is in the university archives comes through a direct transfer from academic departments and campus administrative units. We like to capture records from the highest levels of decision making so that we can understand the historical implications of what we call the deliberative process, the major historical changes of the institution. Of course, many new departments and organizations are always popping up on campus. So much of what I do is really in an outreach capacity to make sure the broadest possible representation of the campus is being preserved.
Okay, so since it's an outreach capacity, would you say collaboration is a big part of your job? And when you collaborate with these other departments and units and organizations on campus, how do those come about?
I make a lot of cold calls. Before the pandemic, I was really trying to, as I said, I've only been here inside of a year, but I was really trying to embed myself on the campus by showing up to different departments, organization meetings, things like that. I've even been out in front of the union handing out business cards. I really want people on campus to know me as someone who is working to connect them to their history at LSU.
Okay, yeah, kind of like archival telemarketing in a way.
Yeah, sometimes it feels a little bit that way. I've
Okay.
got a few different elevator pitches that, depending on how long I can keep them on the phone.
Yeah, and that's the work in the libraries as well, where we go out and try to connect with our departments to do research instruction within the classroom. Got to talk to those professors. So I definitely understand the cold calling aspect.
Yeah, I think what I try to do is try to find the similarities. We all are under this LSU umbrella. We all have this one thing in common. And so I think that gets a lot of buy-in from a lot of people in a lot of departments.
So why is your position, when you make these cold calls, what do you say? What's your elevator pitch? Why is your position important to the university?
As I mentioned before, LSU is the one thing that we all have in common. It's the betterment of the university is the one goal that we're all working toward. So I try to impress upon people that sort of collective, collaborative effort. The university archives serves as the institutional memory for the university. It is the first place we look when the Board of Supervisors is changing its bylaws, which we see those impacts trickling down throughout the university. It's often the only place to find that picture of someone's grandparent in the yearbook, which is a great connection to make with someone in the general public. By collecting these materials, we are helping to keep the community engaged with their own history.
So with those aspects of your position in mind, what are some of your overarching priority goals and objectives right now?
One of my major objectives is to ensure that we are capturing the student voices at LSU. We have a great system of collecting the official records of the university and its departments and its units, but a major piece of LSU's history lies with the students. So we're reaching out to student leaders on campus, student groups, student-led initiatives to make sure that LSU's official history is broad and inclusive in a way that truly represents our campus.
Yeah, so as you're reaching out to these groups and you're kind of going through and seeing what kind of collections we've already had established and where you can fill in those gaps now, have you encountered something noteworthy or extraordinary in your work with LSU's records thus far?
Definitely. One of my favorite collections is the LSU Reveille archives. We have Reveille newspapers from the late 1800s through the present day. I am routinely fascinated with researching the old newspapers to get a sense for what was important to students during a given time period. It provides such a great perspective to know what student journalists thought was the most important news for other students to be knowing. We have issues of the Reveille published during the 1918 flu pandemic, and you really get a sense for how scary it was during that time on campus. The issues from the 1960s and civil rights and anti-war movements, which are digitized and available in the Louisiana Digital Library, are just so useful in seeing how our students faced these global movements and these global events right here on our own campus. I feel like I find something new and interesting every single day.
Yeah, that is really cool. I'd love to see 10 years from now what someone looking at the Reveille in 2020 will get a sense of for this era, and a sense of what's important to students and the campus community at this time.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
final question. How do I contact you if I wanted to learn more about working with you or using the archives, maybe to discover the Reveille myself?
Sure. Well, you can always visit our website at lib.lsu.edu/special, where you can learn about our collections, browse our catalog and our finding aids. You can see what collections we have digitized. And there you can set up a research appointment. You can find my contact information as well as the contact information for our other librarians, archivists, and curators. And I'm going to go ahead, I'll share my screen. In that way, you can leave that up. And that's how you get in contact with me. That's my direct line and my email address. And I'd love to hear from anybody if you have suggestions about where I should reach out to next to make sure that some of these other voices that aren't collected in the official record that comes out of the LSU administration, these student voices, we really don't want these to fall through the cracks. So that's going to be our major push this spring.
Okay, well, Zach, I want to thank you for taking this time to talk to me and to talk to our viewers about your position. Hopefully they will get in contact with you, those who have something to contribute to the university archives, and continue to grow that institutional memory that is just so important to the legacy of every single class and every single person on this campus. And as your information shows, they can reach out to Special Collections too. I guess that's it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a blast, and I hope that some folks will check us out.
Yeah, I think they will. Thank you again.